My name is Vikram. Okay. Anybody here who has been in any of my classes before? No? Oh, you guys have been in my class before? Are you all La Excellence PCM students? All right. Polity class or sociology? Indian society class. All right. Okay. My name is Vikram. I teach polity, Indian society, and sociology optional here at La Excellence. First of all, how many of you here are already enrolled in La Excellence PCM course? Okay, quite a few of you. Some of you are not. Okay, you both are also already enrolled. All right. How many of you here have already opted for sociology as an optional? One, two, three, four. Okay, around four students. Okay. And I assume that the others are actually trying to find out which optional is better, right? How do you choose an optional? These kind of questions must be bothering you at this stage. All right. So I'm also assuming that most of you are going to give the examination in the year 2022, isn't it? Right? Most of you are aiming to give your prelims exam in 2022. Right, great. I've prepared a presentation for all of you. I'll run through this presentation and after that I'm open for interaction, and if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer your questions, right? First thing, let us start with the very basic, right? Let us look at how to choose an optional subject, right? First of all, let me tell you that this is not an advertisement program for sociology optional, right? This is a program that is aimed at helping you choose the right option. Okay, so think about it this way. So we'll start with this basic question, how to choose an optional subject. But before I go there, students who have already opted for sociology as optional, for example, what's your name, ma'am? Priyanka. How did you come to this decision? Any particular way in which you came to this decision? Sorry? Have you studied sociology before? Okay, you have interest and you have made an effort to find out what is there in this subject and you think you can do well. What about you? Not yet decided. Great. Anybody who has decided? You, sir? Yeah, you have decided? Yeah, how? So you have studied sociology at graduation level. What did you do? BA. Okay, so you think, so that is an easy way for you, right? You have studied sociology before, you know that you can do well. Great. Anybody else? I want to hear from engineering, medicine, this sort of students, science background students, as to how they've arrived at this conclusion that they will take sociology option. Anyone here? Less syllabus. Okay. Fine. So you have gone through the syllabus and you feel that it has less syllabus. Is that right? Okay. Yeah. So many different ways in which students choose their optional subject. See, first thing is that suppose say you have studied physics at your graduation level, right? Suppose you have studied physics at your graduation level. Okay, there's a course that is taught like this, BSc Physics Honors. There's a course like this, right? Suppose if you have done BSc Physics at the level of your graduation, or you have done something like mechanical engineering. You have done something like mechanical engineering. All right. Now these subjects are also offered as part of your UPSC optional, the list of courses from which you can opt, right? You can as well go ahead and opt for physics, mechanical engineering. What are the other subjects here? Science subjects, anybody? What subjects have you studied? Electronics, okay.
Chemistry.
Somebody has studied, sorry? Chemistry. Somebody may have studied chemistry like this, okay? There are also a group of bunch of students who may have studied subjects such as English literature, Telugu literature, like this.
Philosophy.
Yeah, philosophy maybe. All right. So we have a bunch of students who may have studied like this, these kind of subjects, right? Then maybe some of you may have studied professional humanities-based subjects. For example, law. All right. You may have studied law. You may have studied commerce. Okay. You may have studied commerce. Okay, these kind of
Zoology.
management. You may have studied these subjects at your graduation level.
Botany.
Yeah, online students, please speak only when asked to speak because it is creating some noise here in the classroom. Okay. Yes. Or you may have studied some social science subjects such as economics, history, geography, yeah, public administration. You may have studied subjects like this. Wide variety of subjects, all right? Somebody may have done medical sciences also. Okay, MBBS, BDS like this, okay? So you may have studied any subject at your graduation level, right? Now, suppose if your case is such that you are a physics graduate and you are very confident that you have studied your graduation level syllabus very well. Okay? Yes, please be seated. All right. Suppose if you have studied physics at the level of your graduation, and if you are very confident that yes, I know everything that there is to know in this my graduation subject, right? Then please go ahead and opt for your graduation subject as your optional subject in UPSC. All right, because your UPSC syllabus, it is divided broadly into two types of things. What are called general studies and what are called your optional subjects. General studies and your optional subjects, right? Now, as far as these general studies are concerned, here they are just testing your awareness. All right, they are simply testing your awareness. Okay, it is general studies. That is, they are simply testing the general level of understanding on a given topic, right? You don't need any depth of understanding here. Okay, which is why they have made this syllabus very vast. So many different subjects that you are expected to study, but you are only expected to study them somewhat superficial. You're expected to study them somewhat superficial, right? The level of knowledge that is expected of you in your general studies is this 12th standard knowledge. It is a different story altogether that in our 12th standard, we have not learned so many different things. But this is the general 12th standard plus some more things. 12th standard level knowledge plus some more things. Okay, that is sufficient for your general studies preparation. All right. But whereas when it comes to your optional subject, here some amount of subject specific depth is expected. All right. General superficial level understanding is not sufficient with respect to your optional subjects. There is an expectation that you know something in deep. All right. Come fast, come fast. You're expected to know this bachelor's honors level. All right, this is what is mentioned in your UPSC notification. The level of knowledge that is required is the bachelor's honors level knowledge. All right, and you cannot simply do with superficial knowledge and understanding in your optional subject. Okay. So if you fall in this category wherein you have done if you have studied some subject at your graduation level, okay, and you are confident that you know everything that needs to be known, all right, that is with some minimum level of preparation, you can actually brush up your graduation level knowledge, and that will be sufficient for UPSC syllabus as well, right? If you are in that category, then please go ahead and choose your graduation subject as your optional subject, because you already know this subject. You already know this subject. Now, the tragedy is that most of you sitting here in this class, if I won't ask you to raise your hands, but if I take a simple raise of hands kind of a thing, about how many of you are really How many of you have really studied in your graduation level? 99% of you have simply, passed the examination, but you don't know much about what is taught in your graduation. Isn't that right or not? You're all namesake graduates, right? That's not your fault. That's the fault of our education system, our examination system, right? So most of this, it's not the case only with these students who are in the class right now or who are attending this session, okay? A very large number of students who pass out of any graduation stream do not know much from their graduation syllabus. Now, this is a fact, isn't it? Anyone who disagrees with me on this point? Right? No, right? It's true that most of you don't know, but there are one class of people who know their graduation subject very well, and particularly they are in this, mainly they come from commerce because they have been preparing for their chartered accountancy examinations. Side by side, they have been preparing for their chartered accountancy examinations, or they come from these medical sciences because they are preparing for their NEET examination, PG level NEET examination. All right. Sometimes there are also students from engineering background who are very seriously preparing for their GATE examination. All right. Only these type of students have some familiarity with their graduation subject. All right. Now, if there's anyone from this class who is very confident that they are good at their graduation subject, please go ahead and opt for that subject. So this is one thing. Next. Suppose if you are not good with your graduation subject, which is the case with 99% of the aspirants as well as rankers. Okay, no ranker knows the optional subject before they start their UPSC preparation. They start all over again from zero. All right. Then one of the things that you have to take into account is what kind of overlap does optional subject have with your GS subject. All right. Now here, when you take this criteria into account, these types of subjects, they don't have a lot of overlap with your general studies syllabus. All right. So if you are picking any of these optionals, I'm not discouraging you from picking these optionals, but if you pick these optionals, it would mean that your optional preparation is completely separate from your general studies preparation. All right. So you would be doing your optional separately, and there's nothing that your optional would be contributing to your general studies preparation. All right. So what this leaves us with is this social science optionals. All right. Which is the reason why, suppose if 12,000 students give the mains examination in a given year, something like 11,000 students appear with social science options. They come from very wide range of backgrounds. All right. Engineers, doctors, lawyers, right? They pick social science optionals because your general studies syllabus is essentially social sciences syllabus. Right? These are the sort of subjects that are helpful for you in your general studies preparation as well. Okay? So within this again, different optionals have different kinds of overlap with general studies. Okay? So one of the things that all of you, before you choose your optional subject, must take into consideration is, it makes sense to pick a optional which has the greatest overlap with your general studies syllabus, because you're studying once, but it is useful in two different places, right? If you're studying something once and it is useful in two different places, right? Now, if you ask me which subject has the greatest overlap, right? The simple answer would be public administration. Okay, the simple answer would be public administration. This has the greatest overlap with your general studies syllabus. All right, but there is a catch. This public administration optional, if you pick this optional, this will be helpful across your general studies papers, right? And 90% of your GS2 and 90% of your GS4 papers overlap with your public administration optional. And also there is some amount of overlap in your GS3 as well. All right. But the problem here is that, so this is the pros. This is the cons. The problem here would be that public administration optional syllabus, right? The optional syllabus itself is quite vast. It requires a lot of reading. The number of topics are enormous. It requires you to read a lot of different things from a lot of different sources. All right. So you can see that even though there is good overlap with general studies, you have to put in a lot more effort to finish your optional syllabus as such. All right. So there's always some give and take. There's always a trade-off. Okay. So this is one thing that you have to keep in your mind. Okay. We'll come to sociology as an optional in a bit, but let me just lay out how to choose an optional first of all, so that my discussion on sociology helps you later. Now, next, interest and aptitude of the aspirant. That's what I've said here. Now, what is this? See, your optional subject requires you to be invested in that subject. All right. That is, when you open your optional subject book, it should not feel like torture. It should not feel painful when you are reading this, when you are reading your optional subject. And to ensure that your optional is not painful for you, what is necessary is that you have the right kind of aptitude for that optional. All right. Now, what do I mean by this aptitude for the option? For example, there is a student. Now, if you ask this student to draw a map of India, the student will draw something like this. The student will draw something like this. How much ever the student practices, he'll draw like this only. Another student will draw it easily, something like this. Maybe. Okay. Another student will make it even better. He will show all the different things like this, whatever. All right. Now, the ability to look at a diagram and reproduce it easily is one sort of a skill. All right. Now, not everybody has this kind of a skill, isn't it? And it's not a big thing. You can't look at diagrams and you can't draw them easily. Okay. Some people have this problem. All right. Now, there'll be students, how many ever times they revise, they end up writing that the first war of independence happened in 1847, like this. They get confused. They can't remember dates. They can't remember names. Some students are very poor with quantitative aspects, quant. They are very poor with quantitative aspects, right? Now, depending upon your aptitude, you have to pick your optional subject. Okay? Suppose issues related with genetics, biology, evolution, archaeology, okay? If these are the sort of things that scare you, don't take anthropology. Okay? Because that is there in the syllabus and you will find it very painful going forward to understand. All right. If your problem is with some making diagrams like this, don't pick geography. All right. If you can't memorize facts, don't pick history. Only you know what you can do and what you cannot do. You have some unique skills, right? You have some problems and you have some unique skills as well. Take an optional which matches with the kind of skills that you have. All right. Very important. And with skills also, interest is an added advantage. If you are really interested in something, then you can pick up things that you don't currently know, isn't it? If you are really interested in knowing, if you have interest in that subject, you can really pick up some of these skills, even if you don't have them now, right? So please pick an optional that aligns with your aptitude and interest. That is the next thing. Next. Now, UPSC examination is a competitive examination, right? We are all here not to become historians, not to become sociologists, right? Not to become economists. No, if you wanted to become a sociologist or an economist, you could as well have gone and taken admission in some good central university and studied this subject in depth. That is not our aim. Our aim is to maximize our scores in this UPSC mains examination and ensure that we get a rank in the final examination. Isn't that our goal? Okay. Now, you have a finite amount of time in which you have to prepare for your optional subject. Okay. Generally, every UPSC aspirant gets 1 year preparation cycle in which you have to prepare for your prelims examination. You have to prepare for all the 4 papers of your mains examination. Then you have to prepare for your essay paper and you have to prepare for 2 optional papers, right? And you have to memorize everything, revise everything, do writing practice and be exam ready in 1 hour, 1 year. Which means that you have a finite amount of time to do your optional subject, right? Now, if you pick an optional where you don't get any support, okay, you don't get any support, whether it be in terms of materials, whether it be in terms of test series, whether it be in terms of a good teacher, you would find it a little difficult. You would find it a little difficult, right? For example, if you're taking philosophy as an optional, it's an excellent subject. Who can not like philosophy, for example? Everyone loves philosophy as a discipline, right? But it's very difficult to find good quality material, good quality teachers, good quality test series in this option, particularly in Hyderabad. All right. So if you are preparing from Hyderabad, if Hyderabad is your base, then I would discourage you from taking an optional like that, because you would find it very difficult, because once you jump into this optional subject and start figuring out what to study and you have no one to help you, then you would be completely lost and you will waste your time, right? And your optional syllabus will not be completed in the given time span, and you will suffer as a consequence before your mains examination, right? So please opt for a subject where you are sure that you have some quality material, quality teaching support, quality test series, so on and so forth, right? So this is also one very practical, pragmatic consideration that you have to take into account while choosing an optional subject. Okay. Vastness of the syllabus. Narsimha sir, please mute everyone's mic. Sir, please mute everyone's mic. All right. Next is the vastness of the syllabus, right? As I already told you, there are certain subjects, optional subjects, wherein the breadth of the syllabus is very vast, in the sense that there are so many different things that you are supposed to know. All right. Now, always there is a trade-off here. Say, for example, with an optional like public administration, you spend up doing a lot of work for your optional subject, but then it helps you in your GS subject, right? So there's always a trade-off here, but logic suggests that you take a optional subject which has smaller syllabus, all right? Because you are able to quickly finish this syllabus, because you have only about 4 to 5 months to do your optional. You're able to quickly finish your optional syllabus. You're able to revise it once or twice, and you are ready immediately after your prelims to give your test series and get exam ready. Okay. So one of the suggestions that I give is that please pick an optional which has a smaller syllabus compared to a vast syllabus. Then yes, there's something called as alignment with demands of the subject, right? Again, this is something that is like your aptitude itself. All right. So each subject has certain unique demands. Each subject has certain unique demands, right? Now, I'll explain what are the demands of sociology as an optional, but each subject has some demand. All right. Now, please take a subject wherein there is some alignment with the demand of the subject. All right. I'll explain what are the demands of sociology as an optional in a bit, but you have to opt for a subject wherein you are in alignment with the demands of that subject. Okay. That is what I mean to say here. With this basic understanding, let us now move on and discuss something about sociology optional, right? First of all, this is very important. Success rate of optionals. This is from your 2017, okay? Latest data is not available. UPSC in its annual reports releases this data, right? As to of all the students who have appeared in the mains examination, how many have appeared with which optional and what has been the success rate. So this is in terms of percentage, okay? This is in terms of percentage. So you can see here that a good number of students appear with public administration as an optional, 1165 students, and the success rate is also quite healthy, 10%. Okay, this, why is this the case? It's not because public administration in itself is very scoring. It's because those who study public administration may, you know, find it easier to do general studies. But then it, as I already told you, there's a trade-off there. Then look at these options. Let us come from bottom. Relatively fewer number of students opt with anthropology as an optional, because the problem with anthropology is that all over India, if you take the pan-Indian situation as the context, then coaching support, material support, teachers, these are quite difficult to find for anthropology. For example, even now, there is no good anthropology test series, right? So which is why a lot of students opt for other subjects other than anthropology, okay? Because, but 880 is also a very healthy number. 880 is also a very healthy number. Something like 8% of the students who gave the mains examination that year opted for anthropology. Now, out of this 880, some 600 will be from Hyderabad, okay? Because in Hyderabad, somehow there is a misconception, okay, that anthropology is very, very easy and scoring. Okay, a lot of it has to do with the fact that earlier in the last generation, a lot of good teachers in anthropology were from Hyderabad. That is why it keeps on going like that. Okay, Hyderabad has a legacy of anthropology. Okay, no longer the case, but at least earlier this was the case. Okay, and the success rate here is also quite healthy. 9.6 is a good success rate. Okay, now look at this history. It has a healthy number of people who have attempted this exam with history, but look at the success rate, 5.5. All right. Or look at PSIR as an optional. Good number of students, healthy success rate. Okay. Look at geography. Interesting, because geography has the highest number of students of all the optionals, but its success rate is one of the poorest among all social science options, right? So you have to compare the success rate of all the optionals, and you have to pick a optional which has a good enough success rate, as well as the subject is in alignment with your interests, with your aptitude. That is the idea. Okay. Next. Why is sociology so famous? As you may have seen in the previous slide, the third largest number of students, okay, appeared with sociology as the optional, and in terms of the optionals of the students who are finally selected, sociology is in second place, right? So why is sociology so famous? All the reasons that you already know. One of the biggest reason is that it's very easy to understand. All right, because it deals with subjects as family, for example, all of you live in family. It deals with subjects such as religion, all of you have a religion. Caste, all of you know what is caste, right? So one of the biggest advantages, Narasimha sir, can you please mute everyone's mic? There's a lot of disturbance in the classroom. Okay. So as I was saying, the topics that we discuss in sociology, they are quite easy to understand and you can correlate it with your everyday experience. All right. Because we deal with topics such as, say, okay, so this is like really distracting now. Mute all. Where is that? Mute all. Okay, great. No. Okay. Right. This is one thing. Then next is one of the shortest syllabus among all the optionals, as one of our friends already told us. Sociology has one of the shortest syllabus among all the optional subjects, right? So religious preparation for 3 to 4 months will be sufficient for you to cover the entire optional syllabus once, right? The first time. Then your second revision will not take more than 3 weeks. Okay, and subsequently it is said that in 1 week you can revise both the papers. Once you have achieved a decent level of grounding in optional subject, in 1 week you can revise the entire optional syllabus because the syllabus is quite short. The syllabus is quite short. Okay, then obviously, particularly in Delhi, because all the big universities, right, such as the Delhi University or the JNU, right, these universities offer sociology at the undergraduate level. Okay. In Hyderabad, however, there are very few colleges where you can actually study sociology at the undergraduate level. Okay, which is why not many students study it at the undergraduate level. But in other places, sociology is a very famous discipline at the undergraduate level. That is why there's a lot of material. There's a lot of good material for sociology as an optional, which is one reason why people opt for it. Then it has an excellent overlap with your GS syllabus. How? Overlap with your GS syllabus. See, you have a paper called this essay paper, right? This comprises of 2 essays of 125 marks each. 2 essays of 125 marks each. One essay is definitely from within your sociology syllabus, 100%. All right. So here 125 marks overlap straight away. Okay. Then in your GS1, there is a part called Indian society. Something like 70 marks here. But at the same time, there are also some questions in history, which you will be studying as part of your sociology syllabus. Okay. So maybe 10, 20 marks here. Then in your GS2, issues related to development, right? Such as education, such as health. All right. All right. Issues related to scheduled tribes, scheduled castes, women, minorities, okay, and other backward sections like this. Usually there are 2 to 3 questions here, something like 30 to 45 marks here. Then in your GS3, you have questions related to land reforms, food security, these type of questions. Usually some urbanization, another huge topic, some 30 to 45 marks here, right? So if you add up all of these things, it would be as if you don't have to prepare for something like 250 marks separately. Okay, so it takes away one GS paper from your preparation cycle. All right, and particularly this essay is something that I cannot emphasize enough. Sociology students end up getting high marks in their essay papers, right? Because this question will be directly from what you have studied in your optional subject, right? So you end up getting high marks in one essay. Even if you get somewhat average marks here, you end up getting on the higher side in your essay paper. All right. So sociology has a excellent overlap with your GS syllabus, which is why it's very popular among aspirants and particularly among serious aspirants. Okay. Next, novel content. See, something about your UPSC examination. Say 15-20 years back, okay, if you had to write this UPSC examination, it was very difficult for someone to prepare by themselves, find the material and give this examination. There was only one alternative, that is to pack up your bags and go to Delhi. Okay, because there are so many old movies, right, wherein the hero or the hero's brother or someone, right, wants to become a collector. Okay, that's why they have to send him to Delhi. Like this, so many movies, right? Because that used to be the case back then. All right. Now what has happened is that thanks to internet and your social media, Telegram, WhatsApp, you can actually sit at home and gather all types of material that is available in the market. Okay. Even though this is a good thing, it has added a new challenge in your UPSC preparation process. What is that challenge? Now the situation is such that if you are a serious student, you have all the material in front of you. Okay. So if there are two serious students from sociology, both of them will have the same material and same content. Now, when your papers are being evaluated, how is it that you will get that one extra mark in each question so that you end up getting overall higher marks and you end up getting a rank? Because it's obviously a competitive exam, right? Marking is always relative. You have to get something more than your competitor. Now, how do you do that? In the last 5 years, this has become so obvious that students who write novel content, new things in their answers, they end up getting ranks, and others who simply reproduce static material, they end up getting average scores. Okay, so this has become quite obvious in the last 5 years, right? Now, sociology is an optional wherein you can write a lot of good novel content simply by reading your newspapers. Okay, or simply by watching news. Every day, if you sit in front of your TV, watch NDTV 9 o'clock news and simply make notes while you are watching these news, you will end up with a ton of novel content, which you can correlate with lot of topics in your syllabus. And when you write this kind of novel content, you end up getting good marks. On the other hand, if you take an optional like history, for example, it's very difficult to write novel content, and the only way to write novel content is go to a library, pick up a book, start reading from it, and make your content different from others. You don't have to do that in sociology option. That problem exists for public administration also. Because sociology deals with topics which are so commonplace, because it deals with topics which are in discussion every day, right? You can create a lot of novel content with very little effort in this sociology option, right? And going forward, we believe that subjects where you can create novel content will be the forerunners in terms of selection. Because today everybody knows the basic content, right? It's not a big deal if you join any Telegram group. All the content that is there, including toppers materials, materials of different coaching institutions, all the standard books are available to you on your laptop. All right. If you simply read from that and write, your answers will not look any different from the answers of your competitors. All right. So sociology is popular because it's easy to write novel content in sociology. Then obviously it's not a memory based subject like history, for example, or like economics, for example. Economics also, you need to know a lot of statistics and data. Sociology is not a memory based subject. Okay, it's a very theoretical subject. You don't have to mug up a lot, right? Which is, in my opinion, this is the reason why it is so popular. Because anyway, you have to mug up so many different things for your prelims examination and for your general studies. Isn't that the case? Which river goes from which state? These kind of facts you have to mug up. Now, if you have to mug up facts even for your optional, then it becomes unmanageable. Information management becomes very difficult If your optional is very data intensive, fact intensive, right? Sociology is not a fact intensive optional, which is why it is so popular. Okay. Next, this brings us to the question, what is sociology? Anyone, any answers here? Yes, you have studied sociology. There is one answer written there on the board, but other than that,
Study of social change. Study of social change.
social change. Okay. Anyone else?
Study of
Modern man. Okay. Society. Yes. These are not wrong answers, but these are non-specific answers. Okay. Sociologists study what is called social order. How do I minimize this? Okay. Sociologists study what is called social order. So sociology is the study of social order. Once you attend the course, you will know more about what is sociology, but at the very fundamental level, the most basic level, sociology is the study of social order. Now, what do I mean by social order? There is a concept or a word called free will. All right. There is a word called free will. What is this free will? Let me write it down here. Free will. It refers to the ability of individuals to think whatever they want to think and to act on the basis of what they think. Okay. Are you all not free to think? Are you or are you not? You are somewhat free, right? To think whatever you want. Are you all free to do what you want? Notionally? Yes. Somewhat. Do you have the ability to do what you want or not? Suppose there is a male student in this class. Now this male student wants to dress up in a sari, for example. Okay. You can, logically speaking, if you buy one sari, right, and if you look at a YouTube video on how to wear it, you can wear this sari, isn't it? This is what is called free will. Individuals have the ability to think whatever they want to think and act on the basis of their thoughts. This is what is called free will. It is believed that generally individuals have this free will. This is true. All of us have free will. But the question that arises is, why is it that no boy in this class turned up for the class today wearing a sari? That is the question that arises, isn't it? All of you are wearing clothes which are male clothes, okay, which are clothes which are supposed to be worn by men. Nobody has turned up to this class wearing a outfit which is considered to be a female outfit, right? Why? Any answers? Any answers? Yes, anyone wants to try? Why didn't you wear a sari today to class? Yes, you sir. Huh? Dignity. Okay. And great, excellent answer. Even though you have free will, you don't really act the way you want. Maybe you have an internal desire. Okay. Maybe you have an internal desire to dress up like that. But you don't. Isn't it? You don't. Why? Because all of us live in the context of what are called norms. And the word that is also associated with norms, or the way it is written, is social norms. Social norms. You have to understand a norm as emerging from the word normal. The word normal. You haven't worn a woman's garment to the class today because it's abnormal to do it. It's abnormal to do it. All right. Now, these norms, or in other words, let us, for ease of understanding, speak about it as certain rules of society. They are not natural. They are not natural rules. For example, only a woman can give birth through her body. Okay. That is a natural fact. It's a natural fact. But the idea that there is one type of a garment which only women should wear, and there is another type of garment that only men should wear. This is not a natural fact. This is not a natural fact. What sort of a fact is this? It's a social fact. Okay. So the social norms are created by the society. These rules are created by the society. Even though individuals have free will, they have to live within the rules that are created by the society. Within the rules that are created by the society. All right. And these rules, these norms, okay, they create a social order. They create a social order. They create a social order. And what do we mean by an order? That there is a pattern to our life. Order refers to a pattern. There is a pattern through which we live our lives. There are patterns to this social life. When you live in a society, you are not allowed to live the way you want. You have to live within the pattern of that society. Within the pattern of this society. These patterns are what are called the social order. What are the patterns through which you live your social life? This is what is called social order. Now, the nature of this social order is such that it is not static. All right. That is, social order changes. Social order changes with time. All right. For example, women going out and working, for example. All right. There is a pattern in the traditional Indian society that a woman belonging to an honorable family shall not go out and work. That is the social rule that has been created. Isn't that the case? In an honorable family, women stay at home, whereas the man goes out and works. Isn't that a pattern? However, as society changes, we have a situation wherein today, in some families, women going out and working is considered acceptable. It is considered acceptable. What is happening here? The pattern is undergoing a change. The norms are undergoing a change. The rules of society are undergoing a change. This change in social order is what is called social change. All right. Sociology fundamentally is a discipline which studies social order and social change. Now, the question that arises in our minds is that why can't we simply call sociology the study of society? Right? Because there are other social science disciplines as well which study society. Politics studies the political dimensions of the society. Economics studies the economic systems of that society. Whereas sociology specifically studies the order created by social norms and how it is changed. Are you able to differentiate between these subjects? All right. So this is what is sociology. The study of the order created by social norms and the way it is undergoing a change. Right? The next question that must arise in your minds is that all of us are living in this society, all of us are familiar with the order of this society. Why do you need a separate discipline to study it? All of us know what it is. Okay? That is not the case. That is not the case. Even though we conform to the norms of the society and we live within the norms of the society, we really don't understand how these norms emerge, what is the meaning of these norms, how they have been changing, what are the dynamics through which they are changing, so on and so forth. We somehow live our lives in a semi-conscious state. We don't bother. We don't bother. We are simply conforming with the rules of the society, but we do not stop to question what are these rules, what kind of order is created by these rules, so on and so forth. Okay? Which is why I found it interesting to write this very famous sociologist's quote here. Peter Berger says that the first thing that every sociology student must learn is that things are not what they seem to be. Things are not what they seem to be. All right? Because if I ask you a question concerning why is it that women are not allowed in combat positions in army, for example, the most commonsensical answer that all of you will give is that women are physically weaker compared to men. Okay, that is the commonsensical answer that you give. But a sociologist will not give these kinds of commonsensical answers. They use specific theories, concepts to really interrogate why is it that in societies across the world, women are not allowed in combat positions in armed forces, right? That's it. Because I can bring so many women who are physically much more superior than a lot of men who are currently in army. Isn't that the case? Many athletes, right? Okay, because physical strength is not innate. It comes with practice, it comes with effort. Okay. Why is this case? You have to stop and interrogate. This sort of an interrogation is what sociology is all about. It's a critical interrogation of things that you have so far taken for granted. It is a critical interrogation of things that you have so far taken for granted. After studying sociology for some time, it is expected that all your commonsensical notions should start appearing rubbish to you. All these days, the things that I have been taking for granted, the things that I thought were self-evident, are not so self-evident. All right? So that is what is sociology. Okay? Next. Let us move back into thinking about preparation, practical matters regarding your preparation. A lot of students who come for our general studies courses, they ask us, sir, when is the right time to prepare for the optional subject? All right. I have made this in red letters and somewhat in big font. The right time to prepare for your optional subject is the first 6 months of your preparation cycle. All right. Why? Let me just spend 1 or 2 minutes here. I've been repeating this in a lot of GS orientation classes also. See, your UPSC examination, it consists of 2 stages. Okay, what is what called the preliminary stage and what is called the mains stage. All right. This mains consists of 2 stages. What is called the written examination and the personality test. All right. And most of you must be knowing that this prelims is a qualifying stage. That is, a certain number of students, aspirants who apply for these jobs get eliminated at this stage, and a fewer number of students write this mains exam. Now, leave this personality test aside. This is for a different day to discuss. In this written examination, you have something like 1750 marks. Okay. In this, your 150 marks, sorry, 250 marks is for your essay. All right. 750 marks is for your GS 1, 2, 3. 250 marks is for your GS 4 paper, that is your ethics paper. And 500 marks is your optional paper. All right. Now, the mistake that most students do is that because this examination is conducted in this order, that is, there is prelims first and mains next, they think that they can also prepare in this order. That is, first I will study for prelims examination, then I will come to this mains examination. This is a huge mistake that aspirants make, huge mistake. Because what happens is that you'll study for your prelims examination, and after you pass your prelims examination, there are about 100 days to prepare for your mains examination. Okay. Now your prelims preparation is only useful for this 750 marks. But those who really get ranks, they don't focus on this GS 1, 2, 3. They focus on essay, ethics, and optional 1000 marks. Why? Because all the students, serious aspirants who give this examination get somewhat same marks in GS 1, 2. 5, 10 marks here, there. They all get average marks in GS 1, 2. Those who really get the rank get all their marks from essay, ethics, and optional. This is called the holy trinity of your mains examination. Okay. Essay, ethics, and optional. If you ace these 3 papers, definitely you will find your name in the final PDF that they release. How much ever you study for your GS 1, 2, 3, if you can't do well in essay, ethics, and optional, you will not get a rank. And people are perpetually stuck in this cycle. They study for prelims, they go to mains, they're not familiar with their optional, ethics, and essay. They fail, they come back to prelims, they study for prelims again. Again, they don't know anything about keeps on going on and on and on. So when you start your UPSC preparation, in the first 6 months, you have to finish your optional at any cost. You have to finish your optional at any cost. So from day 1 onwards, please invest in your optional preparation. I can't emphasize this enough. Okay. If you are really fighting for a rank, okay, if you are really fighting for a rank, from day 1 itself, please invest in your optional preparation. Is this clear? Next. I will do a separate session. Yeah, I'll give you time. Okay, just hold your question for some time. I will hold a separate session for all the students who decide to opt for sociology, where I will in detail look at each of these chapters and what they deal with, but just an overview for you. Okay, your paper 1 consists of 10 chapters. Okay. This first chapter deals with what is sociology and how did it emerge. What is sociology and how did it emerge? Okay. And comparing sociology with other social science disciplines. The second chapter, sociology as science, deals with the theoretical foundations of sociology as a discipline. Okay. Most of you here, even though you may have studied science, you don't have any clear idea about what is science. Okay. We'll look at what is science and can you call sociology as a science in this second chapter. All right. In the third chapter, we'll look at research methods. It simply means the tools that a sociologist uses to collect data. There are many different types of tools that sociologists use to collect data, and we'll look at each of these tools separately. This fourth chapter is by far the most important chapter in the entire syllabus of first paper and second paper. There are 6 sociological thinkers that you will be dealing with: Emil Durkheim, Max Weber, Karl Marx, Talcott Parsons, Robert Merton, and G.H. Mead. Okay. Once you understand these 6 thinkers thoroughly, your job is half done, because all the other chapters are nothing but application of the perspectives of these thinkers. All right. Then in your 5th chapter, you look at social stratification. It deals with inequality in society. It deals with inequality in society. What is equality? What is inequality? Why is there inequality in society? Right? What are the dynamics of inequality in society? Right? This is the subject matter of this 5th chapter. The 6th chapter deals with your work life. What is work? Why do you work? How do you work? What is the importance of work? How is work organized? Right? These kind of issues. The next chapter is, as the name suggests, we deal with politics. Power. What is power? Who has power? Okay. Then we deal with religion. What is it? How many different types? Religion increasing or decreasing in contemporary society? These sort of things. Kinship systems refers to issues related to family and marriage. All right. Issues related to family and marriage. There's an order to your family and marriage. All right. What is it? What is the variety of family life found across the world? How do you theorize it? This kind of. And finally, you deal with what kind of changes are happening in modern society. This is what is there in your first book. You can simply summarize it as study of social order and social change. Okay. How to study? What different people have to say about how to study? Elements of social order, change. Okay. Syllabus for paper 2 is somewhat more vast, many more topics, right? In the first chapter, we look at what are the different ways in which Indian society can be studied. Okay. What are the different ways in which Indian society can be studied? In the second chapter, we look at what has been the impact of the British rule on Indian society. Third, issues related to village life, agriculture. Then very, very important chapter, caste system. Okay, much of Indian sociology is about analyzing what is caste. Okay, caste system. Similarly, we try to look at what are these tribal communities, how are they different from these caste communities. Okay, then we look at what are called social classes, working class, middle class, okay, upper class, agrarian classes. What are these classes? What are their dynamics? How are they formed? How have they been changing? These sort of things. Family again, religion again. How is Indian society changing? What have been the visions of Indian society? Okay. How has agriculture and village life been changing? These are all different issues we study one by one after that. And finally, we study the extent of industrialization and urbanization in India. That is, emergence of industries and cities. How is a city different from a village? These sort of questions. Then we study politics in India. We study social movements in India. Very important. Population in India. Okay, you will understand that. Why is this in discussion these days? Anyone reading newspaper? Tell me. Huh? UP, population control bill and all of that, right? So many different issues to discuss here. Then what are the challenges of social transformation in India? That is, why is Indian society stuck in a traditionalist mode? Why are we, what are the things that are stopping us from becoming a full-fledged modern society? Right? These are the sort of questions that we do. Okay, one last slide. How to prepare? 4-step process, okay? How to prepare? It's a 4-step process. First is what I called familiarization. Please pay attention here. This is the most important part of this discussion. Suppose if you take sociology optional, what should you do? First, buy or print out a syllabus copy. Okay? And look at the meaning of all the words that are there in your syllabus. How will you do it? Use Google. Simply use Google or YouTube and type out the word. What is its meaning? Okay. What are the various things that you are supposed to learn about that particular thing in sociology? Look at this first. So many students simply jump into their optional preparation without even knowing what is there in the syllabus. Don't do that. Get a small book in which write down each topic. Okay. For example, non-positivist methodologies. There is a topic like this in your first paper. Simply Google what is non-positivist methodology. Okay. You will understand that some sociologists argue that the methods that are used by natural scientists like physicists, chemists, same methods can be used in sociology. They are called positivists. Some people disagree. People who disagree are called non-positivists. Write only this much. Simple language. Okay. Some people say that natural science, social science is same. They are called positivists. Non-positivists are people who disagree. Don't do research on this. Familiarize yourself with all the words that are there in your syllabus. Take 1 full month to do this. You can easily take 1 full month to do this. Then you will know what are the boundaries of your preparation. What should you prepare? You should know that first. Do that first. Content building. In each topic, you are supposed to know certain types of things which are relevant for UPSC preparation. Build your basic content around these topics. What is the way to do it? Either you can simply come to the class and get all the information here, or you can refer to basic sources. There are certain basic sources such as textbooks, right? If you don't want to come to the class and want to do self-preparation, get good textbooks for all the topics that are involved, right? There is actually a Law Excellence booklet wherein all the basic sources are given topic wise. Get those books, study and build your basic content. Second stage. Third stage is what is called content enhancement. That is, at this stage, you will know only content that everybody else knows. Okay. In the third stage, under each topic, okay, when you are doing a topic, this is what you are supposed to do. When you are writing your notes, after each topic, leave 2 or 3 pages blank. Okay. And after you have built your basic content, come back, look at that topic and enhance your content. Write some current affairs material there. Okay. Something has happened recently which is related to that topic. Fill it up there. Take some case studies and try to write those case studies down. That is what is called content enhancement. Okay. This is the third step of your preparation. Okay. This is how you make your content novel. In the fourth stage, you will practice writing. Once you have enhanced your content, right, you will start revising this entire material. Okay. You will try to remember it. You will try to revise it, and then you will start your answer writing. These first 3 steps must be finished in the first 6 months. You have 6 months to finish this first 3 steps. After you finish these first 3 steps, your main focus should shift to prelims and your general studies preparation. Okay. At that stage, you will be spending most of your time doing your general studies preparation, but some of your time you will be allocating for your optional subject wherein you will revise and practice writing answers. Okay. This is how you are supposed to prepare. Okay. See, I wanted to speak to you about some more things, but due to paucity of time, I have to end it. Now I'm opening up the floor for questions. If you have any specific questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. So please ask your questions now. Okay, I'll also look at the chat box. Okay, any students in the online mode, if you have any questions, you can ask. Offline classes in Bangalore branch. Okay, let me make this clear. The main offline course will happen from Hyderabad center, but this will be a simultaneous online offline batch, that is live classes will be streamed. And for Bangalore students, once in 2 weeks or so, I will be available in Bangalore during weekends, wherein we'll hold doubt sessions. You can come to the class and get your doubts clear. That is the model that has been planned for Bangalore, right? So I hope I have answered this question, Praveen's question. Yes. Now the floor is open for you. Any questions you can ask? Yes, your question.
Sir, you were saying that regarding the optional complete initial if someone is a guy, he's a good platform before entering into the preparation, he will have an idea so that he can earlier complete the what optional. Someone is very first. Yeah. In my case, I try to see all the GS papers, and after that, after completing the GS papers, then I want to go to the optional preparation. That is the method I am using because of that background I have.
Okay.
Because I don't have any kind of knowledge regarding
Okay.
the syllabus and all. And you are saying the other kind of strategy.
Yeah.
What is that right or not? How can you justify that?
See, the thing is that today we are in July. Let us assume that your prelims examination in 2022 is the date out, calendar out. No, right? Maybe it will be in July. Okay, that is when usually the prelims examination is. And today, let us say, is the day 0 and you are starting your UPSC preparation and you want to do your GS preparation, right? You would be attending your classes here or maybe anywhere else or preparing by yourself, right? It'll be January by the time you finish your GS syllabus, correct? January, February, depending upon how hard you study, right? Then you start your optional preparation. What happens is that in February, March, you will be able to focus on your optional. You'll get 2 months to study with clear mind for your optional. But from April onwards, something called as prelims fever will spread like a epidemic, especially in places like Old Rajendra Nagar, Gandhi Nagar, where a lot of UPSC aspirants are around. Okay. Your mind will immediately start telling you that you have prelims examination in another 2 months. You have already forgotten what you have read for your general studies. There is a lot of current affairs material to be studied. You have not yet done all the new schemes that have come recently. So do your prelims preparation. And that is logical because how much ever you have prepared for your general studies before, you need a minimum of 70 to 90 days to revise the entire thing and go to your prelims examination, right? So where is the time to do your optional? You tell me in your strategy.
In the context of let's give about the 1 year strategy. Having a 2 years time.
Okay.
And he is not having any knowledge about the GS and all. In that case.
If you have a lot of time on your hand, then this question is redundant. Do whichever subject you want first. If you have 2 years time, I would suggest that you should start with your optional preparation if you are taking your general studies classes. Because these general studies classes, they will progress at their own pace. Okay. Some history will happen, then some polity will happen. You go back to history again, right? So whatever familiarity with general studies that is required, you will be getting it through your classes. All right. And maybe you are also doing your current affairs every day or every week, right? You're doing your general studies preparation simultaneously. I'm not asking you not to do your general studies preparation. The only thing I'm telling you is that if you don't do your optional preparation from day one onwards, right, then it becomes quite difficult to catch up towards the end. This has been the experience of most of the students, because I know students who have prepared for the entire general studies part for prelims examination in only 100 days. Okay, all the subjects. That's enough. And there is something called as the recency effect in your exams like prelims, where you have to mug up a lot of things and be able to remember that in the examination. What is this recency thing? If you study it before the examination, you are better able to recall. Okay, even simple things, okay, that is which river goes through which state. These things, if you study just before the examination, you are in a better position to recall. Whereas with your optional subject, it works the other way. Because you need depth of understanding here, you cannot expect to study just before the examination and do justice in your optional paper. You should follow that 3-step process. Okay, and it will take time. Okay, so it's better to invest this time at the very beginning of your preparation cycle rather than leave it to the end. Okay, that is it. Now, in case of students who have already done sociology, they can postpone it because they will take relatively less amount of time to get a grasp of the subject. Whereas if you are taking a subject that you have not studied at the level of your graduation, then sooner the better. Okay. Online classes available or not? Yes, online classes are available. Offline classes in Hyderabad. The tentative date is 16th August. The tentative date for the next batch offline mode is 16th August. Okay, so you can take your admissions before that time. Which books good for sociology? See, one more thing for this kind of a question. There is a Telegram group called Sociology by Vikram sir. Okay, that is the name that they have given. Join that group if you want this kind of material, right? Because Law Excellence has a very good booklet on which book to use for which topic. Okay, join that Telegram group. It's called Sociology by Vikram sir. Okay, so you join that Telegram group and you ask me there, I'll send you that booklet. Till the classes start, should I only analyze syllabus? Yes, that is time well spent. Students who are planning to come to the classes, please use the next 1 month to go through the entire syllabus and write down what each word means in the syllabus. Which NCERT books? NCERT books are not really useful for your sociology optional preparation. You have 11th and 12th standard NCERT books. You can read them to familiarize yourself with what is sociology, but the relevance of these books for optional is quite limited. Okay. Sir, what do you think of Essential Sociology by Nitin Sangwan? Yes, so this Mr. Nitin Sangwan, he's a ranker. Okay, in one of the years he got a rank and he converted his entire notes into a book which is published by LexisNexis. It's called Essential Sociology. Now this book, it is not really a book. It is this person's notes, okay, which they simply typed out and published as a book. All right. Now, if you go through this book, I have from cover to cover, I have gone through this book. First thing is that most of this book is copy paste of other famous coaching materials available in the market. Okay, there is nothing more than that. They have simply copy pasted a lot of material that is there in the market and they have simply given it in this book. Second thing is that if you are a fresher, if you are starting your preparation right now, and if you start reading from this book, it will not make sense to you because this is not a textbook. It is that person's notes. He has understood everything and he has simply put it up as a summary for his revision and they have published that book. Okay, so if you start with this book, you will not understand anything. You are expected to study from basic books. For example, Harlambos and Halbone. There's a blue color book called Harlambos and Halbone. Okay, I will give you all the names of the books if you contact me on the Telegram channel. You are supposed to study from these basic books, right? And towards the end, to get some 1 or 2 points more in each topic, you can use this book. Otherwise, this book is quite useless. All right. IGNOU books are also very, very poor. Okay, IGNOU books are of very, very poor quality. And if you start reading from IGNOU books, you will not know the head and tail of what they are trying to say. So I strongly discourage students from reading IGNOU books. Okay, that is the idea. But yes, some students do read from IGNOU books so that they can get 1 or 2 more points or examples or scholar names. Like at the level of that content enhancement stage, you can use IGNOU books, or you can also very quickly go through Nitin Sangwan, right? Very quickly. Okay, don't waste your money and buy this book. All right, that's not useful. When will the new online batch for sociology optional start? Online and offline batches will start on the same day, that is August 16th. That is, they will start on August 16th. Okay. Yes, any more questions? Who is speaking? Yeah.
The one who hasn't studied the GS properly, then how can we manage the syllabus which is in the constructive one thing. And the second out is what we don't have proper materials for society as well as the faculty and those kind of things, especially in Hyderabad. The one thing is that whenever the student wants to write the answers about the society practice, these kind of sessions are not even started in Hyderabad. So is there any solution or any
Answer writing, you mean? Okay, your first question is regarding GS sociology, right? Say, for example, there is a topic like population. Okay, this topic is there in your GS1 as well as your sociology option, right? Now, when you do your sociology preparation, you start from the bottom and you get to a certain level. You start from level 0. This is level 0 because you are 0 now, right? You don't know anything about population, associated issues, how to think of it. You will study from 0 and you will get to a certain level. Some part of it is there in your GS. That is how you are supposed to know. Okay, so you can either start here also, you have to start from 0 only. Okay, then you come till this level, then you can go up like this also. Okay, this is the one. So sociology optional does not mean that we assume that you already know what is there in GS. We assume nothing. We assume that you are 0. You don't know anything. And we start like this from 0. First question. Your second question is regarding faculty and material. Faculty and material. See, I can't comment on faculty. Okay, this I cannot comment. Okay, this is for up to you to decide. But this is a good question concerning material. Okay. With respect to material for sociology optional, for your paper 1, there is excellent quality material. There is excellent quality material for your paper. Okay, if you just get these two books right, Harlambos and Halbone. I'll send these names, don't worry. Harlambos and Halbone, blue color book, and George Ritzer. George Ritzer. If you get these two books, some 80% of your syllabus is covered in these two books itself. You don't even have to read the entire book. Okay. For the remaining topics, we have excellent quality material available here and there. Handouts. Okay. This is not a problem. Paper 1, there is excellent quality material. You don't have to look anywhere. The question that you are asking is relevant for paper 2. The question that you are asking is relevant for paper 2. In India, there is no single good textbook on Indian sociology. Okay. Whereas this Harlambos and Halbone book that you are going to read for your paper 1, this is written by British authors. And this is a textbook that is prescribed for what is called A-level sociology. That is, at the 12th standard level in England, students study from this book to pass their examination. And it's a very comprehensive book, suitable for people who don't know anything about sociology, and it explains everything from basics. Now, these sort of textbooks are not available for paper 2. Okay. Here, there are certain standard sources which I will prescribe. Okay. You can read from those sources. But ultimately, even if you read from those sources, there will be so many topics, at least 50% of the syllabus. 50% of the syllabus you cannot understand or get anywhere. You cannot get this material anywhere. Okay. Interestingly, there are many very famous coaching institutions, including in Delhi. What they do is that they simply leave out this 50%. They don't teach this 50%. They don't teach this 50%. Okay, they simply leave out. What toppers do is that they get whatever they want from coaching, and this remaining 50%, they make their own effort. They make their own effort to collect material. Okay, the promise that we are making with like sociology is that we will cover 100% of both papers. We'll cover 100% of both papers. All right. Each topic will be covered, and after your course is over, when you simply look at your notes, you will be able to answer questions that have been asked previously in the last 25 to 30 years. You will be able to answer. Okay, this is the promise that we make. What? Is hard. That is the terminology that you are expected to learn and use in the examination. Okay. Because every subject has its own terminology. When you are writing your optional answers, you have to use that terminology itself. Okay. That is it. That is it. That is it. So, you, with some amount of practice, you will get terminology is nothing but language. Okay. Instead of saying family and marriage, I am saying kinship. It's like this, right? So terminology is like language, and with repeated familiarization with this terminology, you will find it comfortable. But this is the book that I strongly suggest. Yes. That is the purpose of a class, right? Things will be made simple. Okay. Things will be made simple for those who have no knowledge of sociology. That is the purpose of a class. Okay. So that is the idea. What was your third question? I forgot. 2 questions. Okay. So this is the idea. Yes. Anybody else? Okay. Let me see what's happening. Nothing like that. For example, if you take PSIR optional, there is so much of current affairs to read in PSIR optional, right? Every optional has optional specific current affairs. Every optional has optional specific current affairs. All right. And whether asked in the exam or not, if you are correlating your content with some current events, then you will get more marks. It is true for all subjects except for subjects like history and say geography. Okay, with all other subjects you have to do current events. That is the idea. Yes, anything else? You have to aim for anything above 300, okay? But there's a catch here. Say for example, in 2000, what was the last result that was declared? 2020, 19. 2019 was the last result, right? Now in this year, the highest marks of all optionals were in the range of 270 to 280, okay? If you got this much, this was considered to be highest range. Whereas in 2018, the highest in different subjects ranged between 320 to 340. Okay. So this 270 and this 320 are one and the same. This 270 and this 320 are one and the same. Okay. This number, absolute number, it depends upon what kind of correction methodology UPSC is adopting. What they did was that they scaled down optional subjects and they increased in GS4. Every year in GS4, people used to get 90 to 100. This was considered to be good. But in this particular year, obscene marks, 145, 165, one student. Like this, they awarded obscene marks. But this 165 and this 100 is the same thing. Okay. But generally in your mind, this number is very important. Because they don't do this kind of things all the time. Okay. Aim for this. If you have to get a good rank, you need 300 in your optional. And you need 150 in your essay and 110 in your ethics. Okay. You should aim for this in your mains examination. Okay. That's the idea. Anything else? Yeah, I'll come to that. I was wondering why nobody is asking that question. Repeat Telegram channel. It is called Sociology by Vikram sir. I think that is anybody is in that group here? No? Just type out in Telegram. Anybody has Telegram? If you type out that name, are you able to find that group? It has La Excellence logo. Sociology by Vikram sir. That is the name of the Telegram. Yeah, classes will be conducted by me itself. Or both papers I'll only do. Is Anthro best or Socio best? Anthro has static syllabus. Okay, same question. Previous rankers papers available. Yes, they are available. There is one student by name Neha. Okay, 2019 she got 19 or 18? 19 I think. Yeah, she got some AIR 15 or something. Okay, and she has a blog on which she has given all her test series papers. Now this girl has written some 4 test series, 3 or 4 test series. Okay, all her papers are available. Other than that, simply type. Okay, sociology ranker test papers, you will easily find them. Okay, it's a good practice to look at topper answer sheets because you will know what is the level at which they are writing and you have to match it. Okay. Sociology by Vikram sir. Yeah, this is the group. Okay. Yes. What was the anthropology, sociology? Yes. This anthropology as a subject, it means a comprehensive study of human. Okay, a comprehensive study of humans. This is the meaning of this word. Anthropology. Anthro means human. Okay. And this anthropology has 2 streams. What is called physical anthropology and sociocultural anthropology. You simply write social anthropology. Okay. Now in this physical anthropology part, you study aspects which are related to biology, archaeology, and with a special reference to the idea of evolution. The idea of evolution. Who came after what, this kind of thing. This is quite technical. Okay, this is quite technical. I have studied anthropology at my undergraduate level. It was one of my optionals at the graduation level, elective subject. I used to find it mind numbing. Okay, but you need not. Okay, that is, there are complex methods and measurements of what is the width of a skull, what is the width of a nose, right? What is the ratio between the different parts of a body, what came first, what came next. Okay, analysis of fossils, how do you analyze fossils, what are the, I used to find it mind numbing. Okay, because I never studied science subjects from my class 11th onwards. Okay, so I had no familiarity with science subjects, so I used to find it very difficult, this sort of thing. All right, so this is one aspect of anthropology. Now social anthropology, this deals with somewhat the same type of issues that sociology deals with, right? But the focus of anthropology is mainly on primitive societies. It's mainly on primitive societies, small scale tribal societies, pre-modern societies, small scale societies. Okay, whereas sociology's main focus is on large complex modern societies, the sort of societies that all of us live in. Okay, anthropology's focus is mainly on primitive societies. How is marriage in some particular tribe living in Chota Nagpur plateau? What kind of economic systems do some tribe living in Africa have? These are the sort of things that you are expected to know. And in anthropology, there is a lot of weightage given to case studies, particularly tribal case studies in your UPSC. You are expected to collect for every topic case studies relating to different types of primitive societies. Okay, and write those case studies in your examination. All right, of course, you will get these case studies. This is what coaching is for. They will give it to you ready made. But you have to be interested in primitive societies to be able to properly learn anthropology. Marriage in primitive society, religion in primitive society. Sociology is more about modern societies, the sort of societies that all of us live in. Okay, that is the idea. Other than this, there is no, this entire question about whether sociology is easy or anthropology is easy. This is a quite nonsensical question. Okay, no optional subject is easy or hard. It's just that you need the right interest, skills, and commitment to master it. Okay, as you have seen in the success rate of optional, sociology and anthropology have same success rate, 9.5 or 9.6 as I have written. Okay, so that is the difference between sociology and anthropology. Is your doubt clear? Huh? Notes will be dictated for most of the part. In some parts, scanned copies of handwritten notes will be given. You are expected to copy it down in your own notes. Okay. The duration of the optional course is 4 months. But actually, the batch that is happening right now, because of the COVID second wave, there were a lot of interruptions. So in 3 months, we could only finish one paper. In the next 1.5 months, we will be finishing the other paper. So, okay. But under normal circumstances, the entire syllabus will be finished in 4 months. Okay. And the classes will be from Monday to Friday in the afternoon from 2 to 4:30, 2 to 5 is the optional slot. Okay. So sometimes it can be 2:30 to 4:30, 2 to 4, depending upon the convenience of the students and the teacher. Okay. So we'll have classes for 2 to 2.5 hours on every weekday, and we'll finish the entire syllabus in 4 months, 16 weeks. All right. Okay. I hope I have cleared this anthropology, sociology doubt. Telegram channel. Some students are not able to find. I don't know how. I request the technical coordinator to give the Telegram channel. I request the technical coordinator, please give the Telegram channel link here in the chat box so that students can directly join. Sorry. Yes, so this is a new thing. Actually, sociology test series program and foundation program are two separate programs. Okay. So test series program is only for students who have already completely prepared for your optional syllabus. The way we are going to do writing for your optional is that after every class, I will give you 5 questions. Okay. You are expected to write these 5 questions and answers will be discussed the next day. Okay. So we will plan it out when we meet, whether you want to do one full day of just discussing answers or you want to discuss every day. This can be planned out depending upon how students are responding. Okay. Because my experience is that the teacher dictates questions, no student writes the next day. Okay. Because the problem is that they are so busy with their GS classes and so on and so forth. They don't find the time to write. Okay, so we can do weekly, we can do whatever is convenient and how depending upon how the batch is responding, right? That is what we'll do. But answer writing, how to write answers will be taught simultaneously. Will be taught simultaneously in the class. Okay, there's a particular way to write answers. It will be taught simultaneously. Okay, but it's not a test series. I cannot correct your papers. Okay, that is the idea. Fee structure, please contact the front office. Okay, because I don't know the fee structure and how this is happening. So you please contact the front office for admission related details. Okay, there is a number, La Excellence number. Recordings, can we get recordings? Okay, there is a platform called La Excellence. Is that the platform? On this platform, the recordings will be available. I think they are available for 6 months. Okay, they'll be available for 6 months. Okay, so you can watch these videos up to 6 months and after that they will be deleted. Okay, that is the recordings issue. Okay, that is the idea. Anything else? It's already late. Are there any questions? No? That's it? Okay, I hope that there are no more questions in the online mode also. So I'll end this session now. So for all admission related details, you can contact the front office. And for any PDFs that you need, whatever, you join that group and just text me there. I will be in touch with you. Okay, and hope to see you all soon again. Thank you very much.